Good morning and welcome to Medicare Made Simple with Medicare Myriam. Medicare Made Simple is brought to you by United Insurance Experts. Call today 561-464-CARE. That's 561-464-CARE. Now here's Medicare Myriam.
Good morning, all, and thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Miriam Leyva with United Insurance Experts. United Insurance Experts is not affiliated with the federal government or the Medicare program. We do not offer every plan available in your area. Currently in Palm Beach County, we represent 49 products, which represent 10 organizations. Please contact Medicare.gov at 1-800-MEDICARE to get information on all of your options. The purpose of this show is to educate you on Medicare and to connect you with valuable resources. I have the privilege of joining me today, Colleen Wilson with Axe Retirement Life Communities. Colleen has worked for Axe Retirement Life Communities for the past 19 years in various management capacities, including corporate, serving Axe residents and sharing their wisdom with the next generation, and has been instrumental in securing resident stories in AARP, the New York Times, USA Today, and the Associated Press. That's to name a few. Colleen is an author and editor of more than a dozen published books in a variety of genres. Her favorite thing to do is to take adventures with her grandson. Without further ado, welcome and good morning, Colleen.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. It's a pleasure. I can't wait to learn about senior living choices. I think it's a big thing, and it's so important.
Yes.
I see it all the time where I'll get a client, call in after years, right? And they're like, Miriam, what do I do? Or what choices do I have? Mm-hmm. So I'm super excited to learn more. And but why don't you tell us a little bit about you? How did you get started in this industry?
Okay, I got started back in 2006, and just that I have a heart for seniors. I just always, I like to, we're 62 and up, but I like to say 62 years young. Let's keep everybody happy, young, and there's so much wisdom to pass on to the next generation. So, yes. Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what is Continuing Care Retirement Community, which is also known as CCRC, abbreviated, right?
Yes. So, Continuing Care Retirement Community means moving into a community, independent. You're doing your own thing. You're still driving, going on cruises, just living life. And then as you need assisted memory or 24-hour skilled care, it's all there on campus. So you move in, you've got friends, you know that you have the peace of mind that everything's done for you. So in terms of, you got food, you got activities, you've got new friends. It becomes a family, if you will. And then as you need that, extra help, if you will, in transition, then we're here on campus, and there's not an extra charge. That's something that's huge that, really people need to ask.
Okay. So, just to understand, the Continuing Care Retirement Community, it's like you can transition into further care, like within the community.
Within the community, yes.
Got you. Okay.
You downsize, if you will, from your residence, 2-3 bedrooms.
Oh, wow.
And then you go down into a suite, if you will. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what should people do first when seeking a CCRC community?
Well, I think the first thing people should do is do some research online.
Okay.
But be very careful because there's a lot of kind of mixed messages out there. And so what I always like to say is think of it as an adventure. You're going to start to shop around. You're going to start to say, hey, what's this new adventure in my life? Right. And for me, I like to say make a list of, for-profits, not-for-profits, your area that you want, you think you want to, and then talk to some friends and talk to people that, have made that move maybe from your neighborhood or what have you.
Right. Start getting that information. Now, how do you know, like, is there even a right time to start getting this information?
I don't personally. I think it's it's never too early.
Okay.
Our communities are 62 and up.
Okay.
But average move-in age is about 78.
Okay.
So you've got, people in their 80s, but I will, be somewhere and I'll be talking a little bit about the concept and, they'll say, oh, I'm not ready for something like that yet. And they'll be 85. I mean, it's great, and they're just energized. I said, all right. I said, well, I'm not trying to, tell you what to do. I said, but just, have you ever heard of this? I said, this is just an extension to your wonderful life that you're living,
Exactly.
and knowing you don't have to burden your kids. You don't have to be worried down the road. So I would say never too early to kind of start to look. Maybe 70-ish. I mean, I'm 62. I'm definitely moving into the community, one of our communities, because the concept I totally believe in. However, I'm not, it's 62 and up community, but, hey, I'm more in my mid to late 70s. But hey, I don't have to cook. I don't have to clean. I don't have to do anything. I mean, hey, why not? I get to
have everything
there.
there.
There's lectures and there's there's Vizcaya and go to Kravis Center. So to me, you don't have to plan. You don't have to do anything. So that's like what really, in my mind, retirement's all about.
Yeah, definitely. Now, you did mention that they could look everything up online, even though there's a lot of misformation out there.
Yes.
Is there any other way that people can get information where they don't really have access online, that you would say? Because I know some people that, they're not very computer literate.
Great
some
point.
of them.
And as people,
we age.
As people age, they're not as. This is a fantastic question. I'm going to say they're probably getting ads and things in the mail. Okay. And what I recommend 100% is to start going to some of the educational, seminars or lunches.
Yes.
So sometimes as soon as somebody walks onto the campus, they have this feeling of like, okay, I can see myself here. A lot of times, at least with us, it's always educational. So it's it's not a sales. If they're walking on campus and they're feeling pressure or a sales pitch, 100% walk away, because this is a big choice that you are making, and you do not want to feel pressured into it. Yeah. So I would say, again, go to as many. And go a few times.
And don't feel pressured, right?
You have enjoy it. We're having like a for Valentine's, a cupcake demonstration. We have meet with the residents.
Oh, wow.
Like a panel. To me, I always say, get the real deal from the residents. Come on in and ask people while they're walking down the hallway, what do you think?
Right.
And you want to ask, there's a bunch of questions. I do a senior living options presentation. I've been at the library a few times and so forth. And that's what the biggest message I want to say is: go to these places and ask questions, and don't feel like any question is, it's not a good one.
Right. No, that's great. Thank you for that. And visit as many as you can, right? Yes. Don't feel pressured that you have to select one that moment,
Right. And then I'm going to also say people will start looking, and sometimes they'll say, okay, this might be the place, and they will keep coming. Some of the communities will have like a priority list, quote unquote. It's $1,000, and you get to. To me, it's a golden ticket, because you can utilize, at least with us, the whole campus. You can come and do whatever you want, and again, feel like you're part of the community.
Right.
But there's people who will come in and they might be on the priority list for 7 years, 8 years. So again, it's just when somebody feels ready.
Yes, that's good to know. Now, I know we're generally speaking here, but why don't you tell us a little bit about ACTS?
Okay. So we have been serving seniors for the past 50 years. Founded in Pennsylvania, and currently have 28 communities in 9 states, all east of the Mississippi. approximately 11,000 residents, and I'm going to get this wrong, so 7,000 or so staff members.
Wow.
So, and what Amazing. We are about is, where loving kindness lives. So we've been around, we've been established, and the one thing, again, that I think is significant is that we're not for profit. So you're going to see a lot, when people do start to shop around, you're going to see, some fancy schmancy, wonderful for-profit communities.
Got you.
And they are great, but I shouldn't say but people need to start to ask, hey, look, how much money is it, to buy in or to rent, and then how, it's just how much more if I'm going to need assisted living or memory care. Is there an add-on? This is where things get a little confusing. So I would say we are about serving. We're beautiful by being nonprofit. All the money continues to come back into the communities to always keep them refreshed. And, whether we're doing a new pickleball court or we're doing some new dining or something. Yeah. I mean, there's always something to look forward to.
Okay. So for profit or not for profit.
Yeah.
Got it.
And I'm sorry, Harry.
No. And then I'm just going over. And then one thing to definitely make sure is, as you need more care, is there going to be additional charges?
Correct. So I'm going to say that the biggest concern is that people think, okay, I can wait till I need assisted living. And so, and there's a lot of rental, brand new, wonderful places, okay? And people will say, all right, I'm ready. I think, and a lot of times it's like, they have to kind of make this decision now because their kids are maybe pressuring or they've got, some health issues or what have you. And so they'll say, okay, I'm going to go move into XYZ rental. It's, $4,000 a month. It's, I like it and so forth. Again, ask what every single thing comes with that $4,000. And then ask, as that needed, the higher levels, ask how much that's going to cost. Right. How much does it, do they increase the fees a year? If I need transportation to go to the doctors or what have you, is that provided, or is this going to be an a la carte type of a thing? So, and then, and this is, I hope I'm not sounding overwhelming. Then once people are liking it, they're in their assisted living community and they need some memory care, and then they have a fall or break a hip and have to go into the hospital, and then they're going to need rehab. And then unfortunately sometimes people will then continue to need rehab and stay and need 24 hours. Now, where does that person go? Because now they can't go back to their assisted living. They're going to have to find a whole new place to live. So that's sad. Yeah, that is. It's scary and it's sad. And that is my, kind of serious message for people who like to say, well, I can just, wait and see what happens. So these are, again, these are important things to think about, not to put pressure on anybody.
Right.
At all.
But then it comes down to getting your education and start looking into this sooner better than later, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Now, how does ACTS compare to other senior living options? That's one. Because I think you kind of answered one where ACTS doesn't charge any additional as you need more care, correct?
Yes, correct.
That's one of them.
Correct.
Is there anything else that stands out?
Well, I'm going to say, as far as the not-for-profit communities, there's also, depending on someone's tax status, I'm not always the best on this, but there is a medical tax deduction someone can take.
Oh, okay.
So you're looking at two different scenarios for the most part. You're looking at rental communies, and then you're looking at quote-unquote buy-in communities. So that means there's an entrance fee. I'm using our example of like a one-bedroom, maybe $225,000.
Okay.
And they sell their condo or their home, and they utilize that. And so depending again on their tax status, they can utilize up 30 to 40% of that entrance fee as a medical tax deduction. And then the monthly fee, $3,000, $3,100, that also has the tax deduction for the rest of their life.
Okay.
So that's significant for people, again, to ask, and a benefit for not-for-profits.
Okay.
Did I ask I answer that right, or did I go around
No.
bit?
You're good. You're good. I mean, this is great because I think this is key. Like, it's kind of brings us to what questions should people ask when searching for a CCRC, right? You said maybe they should nonprofit or a profit community. The benefits of a CCRC versus a rental, right? And then. And you mentioned the medical tax deduction. Now, is that something that you would, like when they go to these events, let's say a luncheon at one of these, is that something like they should ask?
Yes.
You would say that's like the appropriate
Those
time?
are the things to ask. They also want to ask the financial stability of the company, because they're making a big investment here.
Right.
They want to find out, what's the staff tenure? Has this been just, I'm 18 years, but one of our culinary directors, 25 years, 30 years we have people working for the company. So, you want to ask that question. You want to find out, their well-being programs. You want to find out all the different things that are going on there. But then the other question to ask is to find out if they're multi-site or if it's just a standalone, meaning is this one wonderful community that sit there as people say, I want to give back to seniors. They build a community and they're there on their own, versus the strength of, a community such as ACTS, with 28 communities. What happens, or what we found, is sometimes the standalone communities, there hasn't been planning so well, if you will. Financially, they start to get into trouble. So a lot of times they'll come to us and look for us to, affiliate, because of course you don't want to have people out on the street. Where are they going to move?
Wow, that's
so we go in. It's probably a year process, for management to go in and assess and say, how can we help and so forth. So that to me is another thing that people should be asking. How long has it been just built, and all the bells and whistles, but what's your financial stability in terms of the company?
And is it a multi-site or a standalone?
Correct.
That's definitely, and of course. I'm a pickleball player. The type of activities and fitness, right? The programs that
body, mind, and spirit.
Offering.
Yep. Tai Chi. You've got oh my gosh, we have lecture series. We've got all kinds of things that, well-being, fitness is huge, and nutrition. You want to ask, you want to get menus. Honestly, you want to get menus of what do they normally serve.
Right.
It's like, I feel like you want to be a little bit of a reporter, but make it fun.
Right.
You're not spying on anybody. You're just saying, hey, look, is this what I think I'm going to like?
And don't feel bad for doing so.
100%, no.
Just, make sure you're getting the right food and definitely the activities, right? If you love music and or dancing, maybe there's Zumba classes or different activities. That is great. Now, I have a question, because I do see this a lot. How about when you get a couple, like a husband and wife, and they both have like maybe different needs, like different, medical needs. Like what happens then?
Okay, so as far as our community, if somebody
as an example.
Okay, so if somebody has, Parkinson's, or they have some, they're on with a walker or an EOV, that's fine, 100%. You can take care of yourself. You move in independent. If the couple moves in and they do have different needs, for example, one needs assisted living and one is independent,
Right.
Then it's a different scenario. Then they have to but they can, with us, you can still be on the same campus, but you've got to look at kind of like a private pay, situation.
Right.
So, yeah.
But you do offer it, so that's great, because I could see that.
Yes. And you want to still try to be on that same campus. I know, as far as you can. You don't want to be in two different places. And also, you don't want to have your partner or your, spouse have to be concerned about you 24/7. So it's kind of that picture of like, okay, I don't want to be a burden to my kids. I don't want to be a burden to my spouse, which, that's a harsh word possibly. But, yeah, I think that's a challenge, and it's a case-by-case basis for sure.
Now, I do get this a lot. Let's use AXE as an example. Does AXE take any insurance?
Yes, we do. We definitely do. Medicare-based. Yeah, Medicare-based. And there's a lot of people coming in with Advantage plans. There's a lot of people who come in with, long-term care policies. All of that is accepted in one way or another. We just aren't, having somebody come in on Medicaid.
Okay.
We're not at that point. We're not there. If somebody's been living with us for 20 years and we have it's called a Samaritan Fund. So if they run out of money through no fault of their own, they will get a subsidy from the company. It will offset the monthly fee. Okay. So that being said, though, there's times where people, outlive. They're 100 and now they're in the 24-hour care and they run out of money and they do need to apply for Medicaid.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
people are living more now, so I could see that.
And so that's going to be
not
an
planning
established,
for that, right?
Yeah, and that's going to be an established resident. Of course, we're going to help them apply for Medicaid.
Oh, wonderful! So that's great to know. Now, how and know that not all of these communities accept insurance. Some of them don't accept it at all. So that's great to know that AXE does accept insurance in different types. So that's wonderful. Now, how can an interested listener visit the AXE community?
Well, I'm going to say, call me. I mean, I can show them around. I'm outreach. I'm not sales. So it's like, hey, just kind of peek and pop you around and see things.
Yeah.
Otherwise, watch, for probably a monthly event at either Edgewater or St. Andrews or community up in Vero Beach. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So
AXE has 2 locations
in Boca,
and then 1 in Vero Beach.
Yes.
And now, can you tell us? Can you tell us your website? Is there a number you would like to share with us for any listener that or the website?
Sure. Yeah. axeretirement.org. And my number is 561-445-1023.
Wonderful. So that's axeretirement.org, or you can reach Colleen at 561-445-1023. If for any reason you missed that and you would like me to connect you, or you're driving, I know I get a lot of listeners that are on their way to Costco. So if you missed that, you can reach me at United Insurance Experts, 561-464-2273, and I'll be more than happy to connect you with Colleen. Colleen, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing all this knowledge with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course, it's my pleasure. So I'm going to I'm really short on time here. I'm going to briefly discuss a few situations I encountered this week. One is a gentleman that reached out to me regarding the denial of one of his medications. Upon investigating, I found out that it wasn't the medication itself that was the issue. Because you see, when he called me, he's like, listen, Myriam, my medication's being denied. I'm like, that is impossible because it's in the formulary. But like I said, after investigating, I was told that it was the quantity. It was not the medication. So be careful. If for any reason your doctor is submitting a claim, make sure that he knows the quantity he has to put in the claim for, because you're just going to get denied. if that's the case, and also know that you can appeal. If you're taking a medication that was denied, please know that most of these carriers will accept appeals. You just need the doctor to write up that letter stating that this medication, that you need this medication. The second scenario involves a client who lost her Medicaid but continued with her special need plan. Now, for those that don't understand what a special need plan is, there is a Medicare Advantage plan that works in conjunction with Medicaid. So you need to have Medicare and Medicaid to be eligible for a special needs plan. Now, if you have a special needs plan, right, and in the middle of the year, Medicaid says you no longer have Medicaid, what's going to happen is you're going to be responsible for the cost share. And you do not want to be in this position because it could be very costly to you. Because remember, Medicaid is paying for that difference, that cost share. The moment that Medicaid, you don't have that help from the state, who else is going to be responsible? You are. So again, if you lose Medicaid, make sure that one, you speak to your agent. If I'm your agent, let me know, because unfortunately I don't get notification from the carrier that you've lost Medicaid, as that's a whole separate entity. So once again, make sure you communicate this with your agent, or if I'm your agent, communicate this with me, and I'll be more than happy to guide you or help you select a different plan as you no longer are eligible for Medicaid, or try to get your Medicaid reinstated. You do get a small grace period that they allow you to jump back into Medicaid. And of course, hopefully you'll get the cost share taken care of once you get that reinstated. Again, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, you can reach me at 561-464-2273. You all have a wonderful weekend.
Thanks for listening to Medicare Made Simple with Medicare Myriam right here on Legends 100.3. Medicare Made Simple is brought to you by United Insurance Experts. For more information, call 561-464-CARE. That's 561-464-CARE. Tune in next Saturday at 9 a.m. for more Medicare Made Simple with Medicare Myriam.